Here is the Y-axis assembly. I've modified the SX3 mill for extra travel. This is how much extra travel I get. The mill actually doesn't have a fixed bearing point. The whole bearing and all that moves backwards and forwards. As it comes out, it tilts. So to modify it for the extra length, you have to lock the bearing, but you also have to put a end bearing on. And that is in like a conventional mill where the table moves and the nut stays still. The other way, the thread moves, and their method is a cheap method but not a solid method. So you have to make the end bearing support. There's the ball nut and mounting bracket. Here are the thrust washers either side, the limit switch, and this is my typical design. I have end stops and position stops. There's springs. They fit on either end, and that pushes the groove in the rod to the neutral position, the off position, and you can apply the tension and also the position by adjusting those two collars. I find this type of collar much more efficient. It's a ream quarter hole, but then it's drilled and tapped, and it's two halves, and the two halves grip on the half of the rod in there and makes a very strong clamp. You can take the cap screw out and it's still difficult. You have to tap the back of it to get to loosen the little clamp. Perfect way to do it. Also, my method is some people drill a hole in through the middle of the center of the ball screw. And I end up with a tiny little 3/16 shaft, and all this power, all the cutting force is on that small shaft. My method is I actually put a bush over on the shaft. I'll just turn this around so you can see. So the shaft from here to here is the one shaft. This is counterbore in there, this diameter. Then this ball screw, I always use 12 mil, so 12 mil bearings, M12 threads, all that sort of thing. That then a little lands on there, little journal, 12 mil. Also in here 12 mil, and a couple of flats ground on it, and that locks it that way, and tremendous force keeps it aligned that way. I've also 3D printed with the thrust bearings. They don't seal, there's a gap, so when they spin, if you put grease or oil, it all sprays out, so that stops that. Here's the limit switch, and there's the assembly. I don't know if you can hear it. There's it clicking on. So this stop here is triggered by that, and this stop here is triggered by that. I've taken that off to fit the x-axis.